My name is Robinson Bosire. Thank you for taking time to watch my channel. Thank again for subscribing. For those who have not subscribed, please hit the below button and turn on bell notification to be notified of future videos. Today I am joined by a friend to do a mock interview in preparing you for your next interview. So let's get straight to the interview room.
Thank you for coming to see us for your interview today, Robinson. How was your journey? Did you have any trouble finding us?
My journey was fine, thank you, Ms. Laura. The instructions I received for my interview made it really easy to get here. It's nice to meet you.
You too, Robinson. Please have a seat and I will tell you about what's going to happen during your interview. As you know, I am the manager of the department you have applied to. I'll begin by giving you some more information about our graduate training scheme, and I'll then be asking you some questions to find out more about your potential for the role. Does that sound okay?
Yes, that sounds fine, thank you.
Great. Our graduate training scheme is a 2-year program of training and development, but you will be given responsibility from the very beginning and expected to use your initiative on your projects. Senior management have an open door policy for graduate trainees, so you can ask questions and discuss ideas, and you will also be allocated a mentor who will be a member of the team and have recently completed the graduate training scheme. You will also have regular training days and will start to work towards an accredited professional diploma in your field of studies with our support. The scheme is very successful, and at the end of the 2 years you would ideally be ready to move into a junior management role in the team. Is there anything more you'd like to know about the scheme?
Not at the moment. What you've outlined sounds great. I'm very interested in this opportunity based on what I've read about it and what you've said today.
That's good. Let's get started then. Can you please tell me a bit about yourself, Robinson?
Of course. I have completed my degree in commerce from Kenyatta University, a course I chose after getting some experience in the sector while I was in 6th form. Luckily, having decided on the career route I wanted to pursue at that stage meant I could use my time at university to continue building relevant experience and ensure I developed all the important skills I'd need to progress, in addition to gaining the right knowledge through my studies. I seized every opportunity to get involved in activities that were interesting to me while at the same time presenting an opportunity to improve myself. I took on some positions of responsibility, such as leading a team for a project and acting as secretary of a society, and found I had quite strong leadership skills. When I applied for this role, I could see that my background is a very good match to the requirements, and that it relates quite strongly to the internship I completed last year, so I can see myself really fitting in well here.
Thank you, Robinson. It's good to hear that you are really interested in the job. Can you please tell me a bit more about what attracts you to working for XYZ Limited and what you think you can bring to the role?
During my second year at university, I started to research companies offering opportunities matching my career interests, and XYZ Limited really stood out for me for a number of reasons. There seems to be a real focus on team working, while at the same time I know I would be expected to work independently and accept responsibility early on in my career. As I mentioned in my application, I perceive XYZ Limited to be an industry leader, and I feel that the company values relate to things I also feel passionate about, in particular supporting the local community. Having spent almost 2 years as a volunteer with the Anonymous Foundation during my time at university, I am keen to be involved in further voluntary activity. I also had the opportunity to speak to some members of your recruitment team at the Options Careers Fair organized by the Employability and Careers Center at the university, and was really impressed by what they had to say about the culture at XYZ Limited and their own experiences of working here. In terms of what I could bring to the role, having looked at your expectations of employees and read some of the staff profiles on your website, I'm confident I have the right qualities to fit in well at XYZ Limited, and that I have all the knowledge, skills and experience you require. In particular, I am confident that I could apply the experience I gained through my internship immediately in this role, such as taking responsibility for a project and communicating effectively with senior management.
Thank you, Robinson. In terms of the knowledge we require, because we pride ourselves on being cutting edge in terms of our communication both internally and with our clients, we expect employees to be familiar with social and digital media. What can you tell me about your use of these as communication tools?
I have experience of using social and digital media in a range of ways. I use LinkedIn to have a professional online profile for interacting with groups I'm interested in and to contribute to discussions. I also found it useful to find out more about XYZ Limited and some of the employees when I was doing research into suitable career opportunities. In my role as secretary of the Cheese Appreciation Society at university, I set up Facebook, Twitter and Pinterest accounts and managed communications with members through these. I was also responsible for designing and arranging promotional media for events to be displayed on the Students' Union's digital signs around campus. I have written guidelines on all the society's social and digital media use so that I can pass on this responsibility to the next secretary when my term comes to an end.
That sounds good, thank you. Excellent interpersonal skills are essential for this role. Can you talk me through an example of a time you feel you have interacted and communicated well with others?
During my internship in the development department at the Place Limited, we had regular social events for team building and engaging with the community. On one occasion we arranged to spend the day in a local primary school getting involved in a range of activities with the children. I worked with a group of my colleagues, including my manager, using drama and role play to help the pupils learn more about the history of ancient Greece. For this to work successfully, I had to collaborate with my team to prepare activities in advance and work with them successfully on the day, while also communicating effectively with the children. I also spent some time later in the day teaching pairs of students the basics of tennis. Overall, it was a very successful and enjoyable day where I feel I demonstrated really good interpersonal skills at a range of levels.
This role would also require good problem-solving skills. Can you please outline an issue you've had to deal with in the past and how you tackled it?
As I mentioned in my application, following an incident that I helped out with while working at the big supermarket, my manager asked me to help to plan and be involved in the induction and training of new staff to offer my perspective on the issues and procedures addressed. As part of my contribution, I identified some inconsistencies in staff training in different departments that were having an impact on how customer feedback and complaints were being dealt with. Slightly different messages were being conveyed by different members of staff, leading to some confusion, and on one occasion, a complaint from a customer becoming quite serious. I discussed this with my manager, pointing out the inconsistencies, and suggested what I felt was a more effective procedure which resulted in a more consistent approach across all departments. As a result, a more efficient process is now followed, with positive feedback from staff that they are clearer on how to deal with any issues that arise.
We're looking for people who can demonstrate flexibility, so that they can work well both individually and as part of a team and respond positively to change. Tell me something about your experience to convince me you could be flexible in this way.
Working flexibility. Let me take a moment to think. I feel my internship at the Place Limited is probably my best example, as it was a steep learning curve for me and I adapted well to the environment and the working practices. Although I already had experience of working in big supermarket and volunteering, my internship was my first experience in a professional office environment. I was part of a team working on a major project but also had individual responsibilities within the project. I participated in weekly review meetings with my team, contributing to planning and decision making for the project and ensuring that my individual work was progressing as planned. At one review meeting, we discussed an unexpected amendment to the project plan as the client had changed their minds on aspects of the original specification. Much of this related to the part of the project I was working on, so I reviewed my work with my manager and suggested an approach to the changes. This was agreed to be the best solution and I managed to make the changes without them having any impact on the planned completion date, meaning we were still in a position to finish the project on time and on budget.
I have a scenario question for you next, Naomi, and here is a paper copy of it for you to refer to while answering. Imagine you are on your own in the office after lunch as there is a management meeting until 4 p.m. and your other colleagues are visiting a client about a project for the rest of the afternoon. You are working on a report that must be completed for a meeting first thing the following morning. You answer a phone call from a colleague in another department reminding you about a proposal they need from your team urgently by the end of the day. You know another colleague had been working on this, so you agree to get back to him. As you end the call, the director of another division pops in for an update on a collaborative project that your team and hers have been working on, with some very specific questions. What do you do?
As the director of another division had come to see me in person, I would do my best to answer her questions first but explain that I was on my own for the rest of the afternoon and suggest scheduling a project update meeting with her and relevant members of both teams. Thinking about the other things, I feel the best course of action would be to check on the proposal document my colleague had been working on, and depending on whether it was completed or not, I would prioritize that as it was urgent. I would check my decisions with management when they returned after their meeting and would then arrange the project update meeting and get back to working on the report for the following morning, staying in the office a bit late if necessary to get it completed.
That sounds like good time management. Could you take me through a real situation where you have shown the ability to prioritize and meet deadlines?
Yes, quite recently actually. Since I applied for this role, I have been working 8 hours per week as a frontrunner at university. Frontrunners is a placement scheme at the Kenyatta University where students can apply for opportunities to develop high-level skills on campus. My frontrunner role is social media related in communications and external relations. Part of the role involves launching and overseeing social media campaigns, and a recent campaign aimed at prospective students proved so popular that overseeing the resulting communications was taking up most of my time. This had the knock-on effect that I had less time to focus on my blog and maintaining regular posting on the different social media platforms we use. Although I had to prioritize my final year project and a couple of assignments that I had due, I arranged with my supervisor to have more flexibility in my hours over a 2-week period so that I could keep an eye on the campaign on my mobile, including outside office hours, fitting this in around my academic workload and making responses on demand where possible. I was therefore in a position to dedicate more time to my other duties when I was in the office. This worked well and I managed to complete everything required at that busy time.
If I asked your best friend to describe you in 3 words, what do you think they would say and why?
I believe my best friend would say I am friendly, reliable and enthusiastic.
What would you say is your greatest weakness?
I have a tendency to be a little bit disorganized as I often switch easily from one task to another and can lose track of time. As a student, I've had to juggle my academic workload with working, volunteering and other activities, so I've learned to become more organized by prioritizing the things I have to do, making lists and using the calendar on my mobile phone to keep track of everything, so as a result I've become much more organized and better at staying focused.
If you were a part of a bus, what part would you be and why?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Thinking about it, I would be the engine, as although I may not always be the most visible part of the effort, I am always working hard to keep things running smoothly.
A pretty good answer, Robinson. I know I put you on the spot a bit there. My final question now. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
If I was successful in getting selected for your graduate training scheme, I would see the move into a junior management role after 2 years as an opportunity to really develop my leadership and management skills as well as my project management skills, with a view to moving into a more senior management role within 5 years, as this seems to be the nature of progression for your most successful junior managers. I would be keen to contribute to the organization at a higher level as I enjoy planning and discussing new ideas and hope that I could make a difference from a strategic perspective in the future.
Thank you, Robinson. I think we've covered everything I need to know about you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I have looked up lots of information about what it's like to work for XYZ Limited. But I'd be interested to know more about the culture is like in the team I'd be joining if I was selected and what a typical week is like.
Well, I'd describe the team as a balance of hardworking and being able to have fun. It's a very busy and professional environment, but I feel there's always a good atmosphere, with everyone willing to help each other out when the pressure is on. We often go out together at the end of the week, and have quite regular social events. We also have team away days twice a year, which are always very enjoyable. I don't think I can describe a typical week, as every day brings new challenges, but in general terms, we kick off the week with a 1-hour Monday morning team meeting followed up with a less formal review meeting on Friday over lunch. Throughout the week, it's a mix of working on projects, doing research, attending other meetings and occasionally undertaking training. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me?
You mentioned there would be an opportunity to do an accredited professional diploma in my field, which sounds great. What other training and development opportunities are offered at XYZ Limited?
During the graduate training scheme, much of the initial training is based on in-house systems and processes and on how we work as an organization. As you get more experienced, There are opportunities to develop leadership and management skills, networking and negotiating skills, and if there are particular areas you feel you would benefit from training in, we are always open to discussing this with you and helping you to find suitable courses. Is there anything else you need to know?
That sounds great, thank you. I don't have any more questions at this stage. I feel I've learned all I need to know, so I'd just like to say that I am very interested in this opportunity and I hope that I've convinced you that I would be suitable for the role. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your time too, Robinson. We hope to make a decision by the end of the day tomorrow and get back to candidates the following day, so you will hear from us soon. Goodbye and have a good journey home.
Goodbye and thank you again.